We're making a base liquid for a chocolate cake. I'll talk you through the ingredients in a moment, but a little bit of background here. The chocolate cake is, there's two parts of it. You create the base liquid, you let it chill, and then you go on to make the dry ingredient. Then you mix both together. They can all be done at the same time, but you still need your liquid base to cool. And for planning purposes, I've decided to go ahead with the base liquid first. Get the base done, it chills out, and then we can transition to other tasks. And when we come back, we will then make sure the liquid is chill, and then we can use it to make our chocolate cake. And you get to see the chocolate cake on here. It's part of a customer cake that I am making, and I'm excited to bring you along some of the processes if that is of interest to you. Before we go on, we have 375 grams, is it 375 mils of coffee, right? It's brewed coffee. The good thing about this chocolate cake is that you can use any liquid base. I can swap this coffee totally for any brown fizzy base like Diet Coke, Dr. Pep, Pepsi Max, anything, and it really brings, it affects the texture in a way that I find hard to explain. But this is a repetitive recipe I have tried time and again on here. So if I don't kind of dig into too much of the detail, that's not gatekeeping. That's because this has been done time and again, and I'll link some resources in the description box for you. The only difference here though is that I just want to tie this into the customer cake that I am making. That's all there is. So that when you see the well presented, polished cake that is designed for a particular customer, you can go back in time and see the base of all the tasks that led up to it, because then it gives you kind of a rounded experience. And I think I have enjoyed part of bringing you some of those experiences in my heat wave sort of cake series, where I had this cake for a customer, and whilst the cake ended up yielding well and it's great, if you don't know the story around the cake, you'll take it for granted and probably be judging yourself, especially if you're a beginner baker who is failing at some of your baking processes. The entire goal of the lives and these processes is nothing but to give you a raw, unfiltered process of the cake decorating task, right? So we're just creating the base, and into that has gone the coffee. In my hand here is some brown sugar and granulated sugar. There's about 400 grams of sugar, as in white sugar, and then there's 200 grams of brown here. So in total we have about 600 grams altogether, and that is going to be added to the coffee in here. Next, to go along the ingredients here, is butter. Now for the fats in this, I'm going to be using butter and oil. Both are important. For this recipe you could go with just butter for flavor, it's great, but I want to also employ the moisture enhancing and delicate enhancing properties of oil, which will yield me a really light textured cake here. But I also want to bring along the flavor of butter, which will do me a favor, if you like. So there is, I think, 200 grams of butter here, and then into that I'm going to just add the oil. There's 175 grams. So the total amount of fat here is 375. 175 oil, 200 grams of butter. Now, truth be told, you can swap these. You can go for oil completely. I find that for the quantity, if you decide to use fully oil, go for 350, cut the 25 out, because the oil will end up seeping in your cake. I've tried this recipe in many ways, and most of my recipes I try to optimize them to see where I could make corrections where necessary, and to answer generally some of the questions that come up in relation to baking recipes and stuff like that. So yeah, that is something I have done. So there you have it. That is gone in there. And then as an extra, I have about 100 grams of dark chocolate here. They're not chocolate chips. These are dark chocolate pieces that I am going to add if you're curious about the brand, this is the Fincari brand. And I think the chocolate, the cocoa amount, I go for anything over 50% cocoa, right? But I will make up for it when I come to the dry ingredients, because these are not the only chocolate or cocoa pieces we're going to be employing. The dry ingredients will come with some cocoa powder. And that's important. The base here, though, I should add, is really important. We're not trying to boil anything. We're not trying to boil anything so that it's vigorously like cooking. No, we are simmering this slightly over medium heat so that everything melts together. I'm going to turn the heat down, and then we're going to set this aside. If I keep it on the heat, it is going to give me problems because it's going to keep warming up. So we'll take it off the heat and consider this done. The base of our chocolate cake complete. This is the chocolate cake base that has all the ingredients. This is a cake recipe I have tried time and again on the channel. I will link resources in the description box for you. Okay, so not to worry at all. But I had to make the base from yesterday, and then we are going to add some sour cream before we go to get this mix. For the amounts that we have, we could easily mix this with a hand, we could do this with a hand mixer. So I am adding the sour cream, and then we're going to mix that together. By the way, if you're in the chat, say hi to us. Good evening, good morning, good day. How is everybody? I think you're going to find me most times these evenings, and I'm not trying to kind of scream on top of the mountain, but I'm trying to kind of optimize the lives so that they become a bit more consistent. Maybe on Fridays, but in the evenings, Friday evenings, because you know what, life is changing, and sometimes the timing, and I realize that I have to adapt. At this point, I could have given up the lives because it's not fitting into commitments of the day anymore. It's not. Let's go and get this done. This is such an easy chocolate cake recipe. You'd be surprised how easy and yet how much it yields. It's so good. And it turns around as a gluten-free version so easily. Yesterday when we were here, we did an unboxing of some of my latest purchases. Most importantly, an edible printer and a few things I picked up on Amazon. So if you haven't seen that, you can check that out. Now that we've got everything in, the thing with a hand mixer is you've got to be careful. Okay, and whilst that is mixing, we are adding the eggs. Okay, we've added the eggs now. This chocolate cake is just like, if you can see what I'm seeing in the bowl. Okay, not too much now. Now, oh, yep, chocolate cake batter. The oven has been preheating at 160 degrees C. I've just turned it a little bit up. So we're going to try, because I'm making a square cake, I don't want to be faffing around square cakes at all, because this particular cake, I am in my head, I just want this cake to be clean in terms of the sides. And that is work and skill. So anyway, I can stop myself from having to mess with the cake. And now I don't even know if my scale is scaling. It's a mess. Okay. We've got Because you know my scale is not right, okay? Sometimes, you know, you know my scale kind of like the battery falls off at the back. So before I started adding the butter, the scale had already determined the number before I could add. So let's see. Just so that it, if you're wondering what this does, I'm just making a former out of it so that it can help give the back of the oven a lift. Tinkered off to random street, okay? And if you don't know what we're talking about, we're talking exercising and weak knees and backsides. That's all. On another note, the chocolate cake is baked. Doesn't this look yum? Amazing. Look. This is when you know this is going to be a good cake, because it's baked well, and because it's a square cake, all I'm going to do is just level it over here and I'm not touching it. Oh, okay. I just want to strip this so that we can see how well the cake has baked. Look at that. Okay. If you're making a square cake, I don't want to be messing around with this cake at all. Done. So the shape and everything, perfecto. There you go.